standoff on Friday, President Trump said Elon's not really leaving. He's going to be back and forth. But now it is difficult to see him back anytime soon because Elon Musk has gone from being seen by Democrats as a bad guy to being seen by Democrats as the toast of the town with that one tweet.
Breaking news, Elon Musk and Donald Trump appear to be at odds over the, quote, big, beautiful bill. Who's the alpha in this? We'll discuss this. I'm Mediaite founding editor Colby Hall. I'm with editor-in-chief Aidan McLaughlin. Aidan, how are you?
I'm good, Colby. How you doing?
I'm great. You and I had these private conversations, and we thought this would be a good thing to discuss in this format. I'm fascinated by this. There's so many sort of different ways to look at this, but this is a pretty significant rift. Elon Musk, the wealthiest person in the world, President Trump is ostensibly the most powerful person in the world. They had a real sort of symbiotic relationship. And Trump is all in on this thing that he's calling the big, beautiful bill, which is lots of tax cuts, some cuts in spending. But the CBO, which is nonpartisan, is saying that it's going to lead to like $2.4 trillion in deficit. That's after the House revisions. And Musk couldn't contain himself. Big news broke yesterday when he went on his social media platform X and said, "This is absolutely disgusting," or words to that effect. And, it raises this sort of like metaphor of like the unstoppable post versus the immovable object. Like, who wins in this rhetorical battle between Trump and Musk? And I think both are acting kind of cautiously, but I don't think Trump can afford to use his usual playbook. I don't think he can just insult Elon Musk for fear of losing a lot of Musk supporters who helped him get elected. What do you think?
Yeah, this one's interesting. And obviously, Elon Musk has been sort of tiptoeing around this for a couple weeks now. He got asked in a previous interview what he made of Trump's spending bill, because obviously Elon Musk spent the last couple of months with the Department of Government Efficiency trying to cut down on government spending. He ended up not cutting much of anything. I think, when all is said and done,
his goal was $2 trillion, and it ended up being, he said, like 160
billion. And
although Reuters is saying that it's probably less than half that.
Well, it's probably going to end up costing American taxpayers money because of the cuts to the IRS means that there's going to be a pitfall in how much money we're going to be able to recoup from taxes. So the whole thing was a failure. I think Elon Musk even recognizes that. He did a sort of woe is me media tour right afterwards and said, I found out that the federal bureaucracy is really hard to curtail, which, any administration could have told him, because all administrations try to cut spending and usually they fail because spending is really hard to cut. And so he gets out of the government and suddenly there's this gigantic spending bill that Trump has backed. And I think it's important to remember that Trump has never been fond of cutting spending. I mean, he ran for president in 2016 as this sort of like ruthless businessman who would shrink the size of the government. He ended up adding more than $7 trillion to the debt.
In fair, a big chunk of that was during COVID relief, but
right.
Still,
even before COVID relief, I think post-COVID relief was about $3 trillion. Even before with the tax cuts, enormous amount to the federal budget, and so he pairs big tax cuts with pretty unrestrained spending, and Trump is not Trump's never going to operate as a cautious president. And that's what we're getting here. Although I will say for this one, and this is, I think, part of the reason why Elon Musk's complaint about it comes off as disingenuous, and we'll get into the reporting about why he contradicted Trump in this way at this time. But the bill does cut spending. It's just it adds $2 trillion to the debt because it extends the enormous tax cuts that Trump already passed in 2017.
To the wealthiest people. And I think it increases it to some degree. And, this is, every recently elected president knows, and we saw this under Biden, we saw this under first administration Trump, like you get a window of like a year to do all your work. And Biden, did tons of stuff got passed as well that cost a lot of money, right? So his honeymoon period to get this done is right now, and he's trying to wrap it all up. But it flies in the face of the sort of, fiscal conservatism that has long been the hallmark of the Republican Party. And you see, sort of the Ron Johnsons and Rand Pauls being very vocally opposed to this. But I'm kind of interested on a like political perspective. And this is where you and I are sort of going back and forth. It raises a question: who's the alpha in this dynamic between Elon Musk and Donald Trump? Because when Rand Paul opposed this big bill, immediately Trump went to social media and insulted Rand Paul and said, like, everyone in Kentucky hates him. Classic Trump. And like, that's, shooting, cannons off the bow, like, watch your step or I'll have you primaried. He didn't do this with Musk, right? Like he can ill afford that. And Musk is like, if you believe the New York Times reports that he's like this drug-addled, super wealthy ubermensch that follows his will to power. He marches to the beat of his own drum, and I think Trump is worried or concerned that if he goes too far, like what you and I talked about this, like Musk can just turn on Trump, and that hurts Trump a lot. I'm not sure I see a lot of reasonable checks that Trump has on Musk, because it could disrupt an important sort of coalition of, the Joe Rogan, Dave Portnoy tech bro dudes who want MAGA, not because they're MAGA, but because they, are big Elon Musk following tech bros. Where do you see this layering out? Like,
Yeah,
who's boss?
I mean, I still recall at the beginning of Trump's term, when there was a lot of sort of gleeful speculation from critics of Trump that there would be this massive falling out between him and Elon Musk. And I suppose they were proved right a little bit more than I was, because I always thought that was absurd, because Trump clearly needs Elon Musk.
Right.
He's not Steve Bannon, who Trump pretty much threw away within a couple months of his first term. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. He has proven that he is willing to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on political campaigns. He, I think, probably is single-handedly responsible for getting Trump elected in 2024. He was able to get Trump's cabinet all pretty much passed with relative ease, because he aimed a money cannon in primaries at anyone who sought to.
Nearly $300 million he spent on the Trump campaign.
And he turned around and, if a Republican in Congress, a moderate, wanted to object to one of Trump's cabinet officials, Elon Musk would go on Twitter and say, if you do that, I will primary you, and you'll have the Elon Musk money cannon pointed at you, and you'll be out of office. And that is enormously powerful. There is no one in American politics who is willing to act as brazenly and as publicly as an enforcer as Elon Musk was for Donald Trump. Right. Not to mention that he has billions and billions of dollars in his bank account, far more than any other person on the planet. And then add on top of that, he is the most influential person on X, formerly Twitter, the social media platform that he owns. And he's been entirely willing to just spread outright propaganda there.
Right.
That, all of those things put together, means that Elon Musk is by far the most powerful weapon that Donald Trump has. And I think Trump is smart enough.
Who's more powerful, though? Like, that's the question, is like, who has more juice in this dynamic, Musk or Trump?
I mean, I think it's more complicated than that. I think they're kind of both. I think they're both they both have each other in a certain position. Sorry, excuse me for the imagery there, but Trump can exert pressure on Musk because he controls federal contracts that Musk needs to go to his businesses, and Elon Musk has pressure on Trump, both financially. He can turn off the money spigot whenever he wants, and on X, where he can, in the case of this bill, turn against this bill and rally his supporters to oppose it. I don't think either has more power than the other in that respect. But I think that explains why both are treating each other quite delicately. Elon Musk did not mention Trump in his statement.
So much to unpack here. I mean, again, going back to the Rand Paul example, whenever Trump feels like he's been wronged by an ally, he insults them, he goes after them. Yeah. And it's proven to be an effective playbook, because he's whipped the Republican Congress into shape. They've admitted that they're in fear of getting primaried or getting on the wrong side of Trump. in this instance, which was a big deal when Musk dropped that social media post, you and I both were like, "Oh my God, this is huge! We got a ton of traffic." Like it's big news, and it's been all over, as the montage at the beginning of this clip said. But the White House handled this very, very differently. My reporting says that instead of just kind of rashly going after Elon Musk, the White House communications team put out a sort of detailed set of like on background talking points that explain, well, in a nuanced way, we know where Elon is and this is what he's positioned on, and made it very sort of policy driven, which is really weird and rare for Trump, the Trump administration, or Trump per se, handled that way, which to me I thought was like a tell.
Right. I mean, also the biggest tell that they're taking this seriously. I mean,
Right.
pretty soon after Elon Musk issued his statement, Axios reporter Mark Caputo, who is a great reporter with a lot of sources in the Trump administration, he published a piece which that the headline was 4 Reasons Musk Attacked Trump's Big Beautiful Bill. And none of the reasons cited in the story are that Elon Musk actually cares about spending. And
Right.
that is kind of demonstrated. Elon Musk's statement is a little odd because it says that the bill is packed with pork. Now, the thing is, the bill isn't really packed with that much pork. It actually cuts spending by a couple trillion. The
Right.
reason it adds so much to the debt is that it extends Trump's taxes. So you can quibble with the taxes, but I don't know if you can quibble with the pork, as Elon Musk is doing. But Caputo reported that the 4 reasons that Musk opposed this are: the legislation cuts the electric vehicle tax credit, which is huge for Tesla. That Musk was working at the White House as a special government employee and that he asked to stay on past the 130-day limit, but that the White House said that he couldn't stop serving in this capacity, which basically means he got fired from the White House as head of DOGE. Then he wanted the Federal Aviation Administration to use Starlink satellite systems for national air traffic control. The administration said no way because of the conflict of interest. And then the final straw for Musk appeared to come Saturday night when Trump abruptly announced he was withdrawing the nomination of Jared Isaacman, a Musk ally, to be NASA administrator. So despite Musk claiming that that he cares so deeply about the U.S. government national debt, every single one of these reasons, which are clearly coming from the Trump administration, is that this spending bill hurts him personally, and he's pissed about that.
Well, there's one other thing. First of all, Mark Caputo is a terrific reporter, and I don't mean to besmirch him, but that write-up seems to, like you said, come directly from the White House comms team, which, again, is one of these things that's not like the other, right? Like, that's a very different way, and to your point, shows precisely how the Trump administration and Trump are treating Elon with really hey, we're still friends here. We don't want to get into a big fight. A good friend of mine who's in the finance industry pointed out that, for all of the money that Elon Musk has given Trump, nearly $300 million to get him elected, and another $100 million to get the Tesla car out on the South Lawn to go to the Trump political campaign. The biggest insult had to have been this big diplomatic, much ballyhooed trip to the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, a massive conference on AI. And guess who was not included? Guess who was not invited to that? And that was, of course, Elon Musk. So that had to be does $300 million not get you an invite to the big future? And so I think all of that ties in together. Now, you talked about leverage that Trump has over Musk. And I think you're right on paper that he could cancel sort of federal contracts. But I think all of those moves, Trump is loath to engage in because, like you said, Musk is the wild hair. He could easily, if he decides the Trump administration is evil, he can change the algorithm of the most influential social media platform, X, to be anti-Trump. And so, clearly we explained why everyone's being so cautious. I just think that Trump has more to lose here than Musk does, because this is a dalliance side project for Musk, whereas this is a profitable venture for Trump right now with the meme coins and being president and acting like the sort of unelected king that can do whatever he wants. And he loses that. He loses, it's not the MAGA support that he's risk losing. It's the coalition others. And so Yeah, I just think it's stunning for the first time that we found someone that seems to be impervious to the Trump insult playbook.
I do think, and it's also stunning that for the first time we found someone that is too powerful for Trump to really go after.
Right.
I mean, Trump has insulted everyone from, political allies to enemies. I mean, he does not care if you cross him, he's going to send out a bitchy.
Look at his biggest ally in his administration, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. I mean, like, look at
right.
how that relationship.
That relationship. Yeah, and as soon as Marco Rubio gets fired from the Trump administration, he's going to put out a True Social tweet about how horrible he was.
Terrible hire.
Yeah, terrible hire. Who hired Marco Rubio to serve as Secretary of State? So, yeah, I mean, to be honest, this does seem like a little bit more of a mature administration, perhaps in the first term.
Right.
In the sense that we actually haven't had that many firings so far. I think in the first term, at this point, we basically had a whole new cabinet.
Right.
Trump has perhaps learned a little bit from that go around. But I do think it's probably almost certainly that he's keeping his powder dry on Musk because he understands that there is no better political weapon or tool for him than Elon Musk. I mean, it's not even close.
Aidan, good chatting. Hey, if you're watching, be sure to click the link and subscribe button for more videos like this. Go team. All right. Thanks.